Drinking decaf?
or anything. It doesn't
Oh,
have to be decaf in your cup.
I got Snapple iced tea for this one.
Snapple
It's
iced tea.
it's peach tea. All
This
right.
episode brought to you by.
Yeah, I walked to Target, which is literally right next door to our hotel
Right.
because I'm in a
Right. Sure.
hotel.
hmm
For Snapple peach tea. This is not what I wanted. It's just what I got,
We are
unfortunately.
wasting great opening banter, by the way.
Oh, we already recorded. We're live, baby.
We're live. When did we even? Since when did you go live? You didn't tell me anything. You didn't do the intro. You
No,
didn't like. I didn't get to do my dance or nothing.
because it was much funnier this way.
Oh, fucking Dan.
It's way more funny. Way more funny.
So you just guys, we just get unfiltered me, and I don't sound educated at all.
Yeah, that's
Great,
fine.
awesome. I love that.
It's fine.
So my let me just sit up. I've been double chinning it up and shit. You're killing me.
Listen, I am in a hotel. You're looking at my bed right now that I'm gonna
Yeah,
sleep in all
you know what's
week.
behind me? You know what's behind me? That is the guest. You can't see because I'm fucking fat as shit. But over here is that's the guest bed covered in just like card game nerd stuff because
That's
this is
true.
also my office.
That's fair. So yeah. Welcome everyone back to the protocols. Little hot take start action for everyone. I mean, it could be worse. So we've had worse opens. Let's be real.
Have we?
I don't know, but what is this the is, is this the that's really all he's got? Like, is that what this is?
I'm just like I'm
It's
flabbergasted, Dan.
that's from
He
Knocked Up,
just
right? The when he does that dance and they're like
he does the dice
the
roll
dice
thing.
roll there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what you should have did.
He's really leaning on the dice roll thing.
That's
That's all
really
he's
all he's
got.
got.
That and then there's also another classic is from Hitch, where Kevin James
Yep.
is all dancing on the place and Will Smith's like, "No, your
No.
base is right here, right
Yeah.
here."
Real true story. That is one of my favorite movies of all time. Facts.
Hitch is a great movie. Hitch
Love the
is an
movie.
underrated movie.
I believe so. Will Smith is underrated in the movie, and so is Kevin James.
I also I think everyone in it is. I think Eva Mendes is incredible in it too.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a good movie. Good movie.
It's just a good movie, and it's also really fun.
Big true.
You know,
Big true.
like I think people in the superhero movie. Here's a small rant. We really are starting off this on a weird note. Um,
It can't be
in,
worse
in
than
the
Cockamouse, so it's fine.
superhero, I thought you almost died talking about the story of Cockamouse. You almost like suffocated from laughter. But so in the superhero movie era, right? Um, things have like this hit like this. Everything is like one-liners or like grimdark, super kind of edgy stuff, right? And
Sure.
I think there's something to be said for entertainment that is fun or is lighthearted, right? I think that's why, personally for me, I've been going back and rewatching Community
Mm-hmm.
during this time.
Me
My
too.
girlfriend and I have picked up Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which we have been absolutely binging because
Noise.
it's lighthearted, right? Like, and it addresses some of the cop stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, not all of it, but a little bit. And also, like, I mean, just like, it's not just those. Ted Lasso has had a huge kickoff, and that's not just me. That's like you know, a lot of the watching populace, especially in America, right, has really taken to Ted Lasso. I've been recommending it to people I've met at work recently. So, and like, that's a big game. I don't like to recommend anyone to anything at work ever for any reason.
Okay. That's
That's not true. I can't stop recommending things to people. I just bold-faced lie. I'm sorry, everybody watching. I'm in a weird mood. I am drinking decaf.
mm-hmm.
It's not actual coffee, but I still have a lot of energy. So
Yeah. Well, we both had travel days today, so you know
we did,
there is
we did, but
that.
yours was rougher.
I don't think so. I just sat on a plane for a couple hours, and then my drive sucked. But you had to drive the whole time. That also sucked.
Sure, but I don't mind driving, and you had to breathe other people's farts,
Very true.
and like there's there's a certain level of fatigue that comes from inhaling recycled fart for hours on end.
Thanks. I have to go to sleep with that now.
You're gonna sleep just fine. He's absolutely just pulling everyone's legs, like, "Oh, Richard, you used to hurt me, you hurt my feelings."
No, not at
Dan
all.
is completely unflappable. He's going to sleep like a baby when
Yeah,
we get over with this.
absolutely. I'm gonna snore for sure. And I don't have any
Uh,
kids to wake up to, so there's that. So that's always that's
Neither do
the
I. Different reason,
it
but
is the plus one perk of not being home and being on the road.
it's
Uh,
okay. You don't have to lie to everybody. I know you're gonna miss them.
oh no, I miss them, but I do get to sleep, so like there is that. Like
Tomato,
like
potato.
like I get to take naps, so like Dan is a lot happier when he can take naps. That is for sure.
One happy Dan.
Absolutely. Oh, so anyway, we've been here, and we promised everyone that we would show them Will the Protocols first. It is the first thing in the show
Uh,
notes.
I noticed,
We do have.
but,
Okay, go ahead.
but, breaking news as
Yeah,
of the
no,
recording of this
right. This happened like literal. What? All right. So this is
minutes
we
ago.
are 5 minutes and 40 minutes into this podcast. This happened 7 minutes and 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, and that is that FortressMaximus.io, one of the two premier, I guess you'd call it like card catalog sites.
Hmm.
Is that a good way to phrase it?
Just,
For
I
the
mean,
game.
just you could just say the deck building sites that we used. You
Yeah, yeah,
know.
yeah. So we got Teletran1.net.
Hmm.
Shout out to Zero.
Hmm.
And we got Fortress Maximus.
Hmm.
.io.
Hmm.
Which, do you know what .io stands for? I really don't know.
I definitely don't.
Okay. Well, um, as of, the recording of this is on the 17th of October,
Hmm.
and as of like 7 minutes ago, 8 minutes ago, uh, AlphaTron Protocol's waves 1 through 3 have been added to the search function on Fortress Maximus. Still can't add as of this time. Still can't add them to Deck Builder,
Hmm.
right? But the fact that they are searchable is a huge game, and we're doing everything we can to work to get 4 and 5 up as well.
Yeah, I was shocked for sure. I mean,
So was I.
I loved the Fortress Maximus deck builder so much when the game was alive and well, and he made a decision that he just wasn't going to continue with custom sets and everything like that, and everyone respected that. Like I can't ask someone to do that extra work, right? Like that's not fair to anybody to ask them to do it. Like the fact that Zero does it is just commendable because it's all his free time doing that, right? Like
I know.
he's just committing his own time to doing those things. So when Fortress Max said they weren't going to do it, I was bummed. Like, I was like really upset about it, but I understood it. It's not up to him to have to do it. So it was really cool that he like, for whatever reason he decided to put our stuff on there. Huge shout out to him. Thank you so very much. I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, I can't wait to use that deck building interface again as well. If that
Yeah,
ever comes to pass.
yeah. And it being there, people really liked that site back in the day, and it was used for they held the tournament thing. Honestly,
Hmm.
everything that Tele One has now, Fortress Maximus kind of started that like way back when. So, I hope I hope the site kind of gets up and gets some more love again because it'd be nice to have extra resources. It's
I
just
agree. I
another
think
way for people to find the game.
that's what I was gonna make the point of. You
Yeah.
you 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 literally took the words out of my mouth. Like it's jumping on points
Hmm.
are critical for communities like this, right? That are continuing past print,
Yeah.
right? And so like the idea that like there are ways for I mean, I can't tell you how many times somebody has messaged in the AlphaTron Protocols Facebook group or in the TFTCG Facebook group, right, or the buy sell where they're like, hey, where can I find deck lists or resources for this game?
Yep.
Right? And so the fact that if you want to point them, if they're interested in like playing tournaments and regularly getting in matches, right? The Alpha Protocol server and Discord is like is probably it is the most consistent place to do that, right? I'm not blowing smoke or anything. I'm just talking about like raw numbers, right? And so having another place that they could either find on their own and then navigate to, or that people could point them to potentially, even if it's friends or something along those lines,
Right.
huge get for
And
the community at large, not just us.
even in the past, they had Fortress Maximus had articles that were commonly put up, like probably like I don't know, maybe bi-weekly or monthly, but like it was still more content for the game also. So even if this is him coming back and potentially doing content again, like that would be really cool. Like I used to always just enjoy the extra. Anytime there's content that is enjoyable for me to look at and reach at, it's just another thing for anybody to find, right? So
Absolutely. Well, we talked about this before, right? I'm drinking decaf now, but I'm an absolute zombie in mornings, like every single time. I'm sitting there in the morning, drinking a cup of coffee, just reading through my emails, and I oftentimes, it's partially an ADHD thing, right? I like to have something playing in the background,
yeah.
right? And so one of the things I used to love to do was just like put on some random TFTCG comment, right? Like content. Like I can rewatch matches now,
Mhm.
still, which is awesome. And shout out to you for putting those up and taking the time to record them. But
I got
there
this
isn't as
doozy this round.
yeah.
Yeah, because we're playing full constructed, and I got like 5 characters that no one's ever seen in full constructed.
Hey,
I was so
hey
pumped.
man,
I was so pumped to walk into that room. It was the match between Smurf and Mad Sleepy. Oh man, deck lister just out there. Love it.
full Smurf tier, right? Full Smurf tier.
Full Smurf tier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
had we had a Megatron. I don't even know its name. The Titan Master
Um,
Megatron. I
I'm gonna
literally
say it's
don't know.
Megatron Fallen
Fallen Hero? Is it Fallen Hero?
Hero. I think is
I
it.
think
I
it's
think it's
Fallen
Fallen
Hero.
Hero. Hold on, putting it in the Google machine
So
real quick. Just
Megatron Fallen Hero Titan Master with Sergeant Cup Titan Master against a Skull
is
Smasher.
Fallen Hero. We got it right.
Nice.
Shout out.
So it was Megatron Fallen Hero against Skull Smasher. This was the game that I popped in on the server in round
That sounds
3.
like some Primus shenanigans to
And I
me.
was like, "Oh, I'm recording this." I don't even think I told them I recorded it, which is even funnier. So, but yeah, we got it. We got it for everyone to see. And then the game 2, the sideboard match, pure fire. Megatron and Optimus Prime, whoa
That's
bear,
hot. That
whoa
is
bear.
just hot. Um,
Never before seen. Never before seen.
I have watched Stefan, shout out Stefan,
Oh my god.
take some Optimus Legendary Warrior decks into testing for full con in T1,
Me,
only to be just like off them like so
myself,
hard.
and Stefan probably collectively for about 5 to 6 months attempted all we could to make that character playable.
Hmm.
He's not playable.
No.
He's not
No, he's just
playable.
not.
He's not playable.
No, you can't put one defense on the mode that matters.
On a 13 health character or 13 star character.
13
Ooh.
star character functionally, yeah, like it's just
Mm-mm. No. Which was really, I actually made this comment. I don't know that it was on the video or not, but I made the comment that like they're each playing these monstrous Titan Masters, and I'm like, you know what's wrong with these Titan Masters? That the 7 drops have 2 defense.
yeah. What is that? I'm sorry. I'm not mad at you about it. It's more just like in general, it's like irksome.
Yeah.
That is the word I'm choosing to use.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but yeah, that you guys can look forward to that sweet ass match because I thoroughly enjoyed it because I was like, man, I had to. I'm not kidding. I actually had to like go and be sure of what the characters did. So I like like, I wanted to make sure because I was watching it, so I was judging. I normally, if I'm recording, I'm almost always judging in some
Whoa.
fashion to like. I mean, everyone always hears Dan quote the voice of God. They say whatever. Just come in and be like, no, you can't do that.
I've never called you the voice of God.
You haven't. Others have. It's okay. We're just.
Oh my God.
It's alright. It's alright. I don't want that reference anyway. It's okay. I don't want to be the voice of God. I'm not Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman is a way better voice of God than I would
And
ever
he
hope to
literally
imagine.
plays God in Bruce Almighty.
It was yeah. There was a reason I said that. But yeah,
Yeah, Bruce Almighty is a great movie.
it is a
In
good
case
movie.
anyone's wondering, I
It's
haven't
very
watched it
old.
in a while.
It's very old, but
Yeah,
it's good.
it was the first PG-13 movie I went and saw in theaters. We're back on the banter part apparently.
How old are you? That's
I don't know.
adorable. That's
I
adorable.
We talked about this. I grew up slightly sheltered, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, might be.
Yeah,
Might be.
yeah,
Okay.
slightly
I
sheltered.
won't
I
make
grew
fun
up
of you then.
full on
I
sheltered.
won't make fun
Like,
of you like I would make fun of Christian for something like that comment.
I mean, I was like 12.
All right.
You remember, Dan? I'm not as old as you.
Fuck you.
I'm just not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is it? Are you mad at numbers or
No.
me?
Neither.
Okay.
But anyway, Will of the Protocols. Here it comes.
Oh, sure, we don't do this too. Yeah, all right, all right. You go ahead. You give us the little lowdown here.
All right, this one is not textless. It actually has a text box this time. It is Will of the Protocols. We got a blue pip action. It is an Autobot action, as we pointed out in the last podcast. Reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Your opponent separates those 2 piles into. I'm sorry, separates them those cards into 2 piles, puts one in your hand, and scrap the other pile. It's almost like I know exactly what that said and still messed it up.
Not only do you know what it said, like the inception of this card was your idea, the inception of the inspiration for this card was your idea. You're like 3 layers of knowledge on this text, and you still managed to fuck it up when you're reading it.
That's impressive. That's
That's
impressive.
just impressive. We gonna read the second ability too.
Maybe, I don't know.
Do your best. Sound it out.
So, if Alpha Trion was on your starting team, each Autobot on your team gets Focus 1 until end of turn. So, we did state in our last podcast about the characters of Alpha Trion and Rekgar that they had accompanying battle cards. Will the Protocols is our accompanying battle card for Alpha Trion. Why is that, Wyatt?
Well, it says Alpha Trion on it
Big true.
for one.
It's the Will of
But
the Protocols.
yeah, that too. It's
For
literally
two.
referencing like the Alpha Trion protocols, right? We talked about in the review for Alpha Trion that we had been working to get a satisfactory version of that character into the game
Mm-hmm.
through the ATP releases for sets upon sets.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things we came to when we were designing the original kind of like mock-up for that character is we went, you know what? We want this character to have a little bit of added power, right? But we don't think that it needs to all go on the card
Mm-hmm.
itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we can give it to some places that are nearby. So this is not the first iteration of this card. This card was a little more busted when it was first designed. One thing that stuck the entire time though is that kind of pseudo perceptor text on the top of it, right? The reveal of the top 4. So basically, the world's best pep talk ever,
Best,
functionally.
best in the world.
Yeah, best pep talk in the world. Because you're almost always gonna get 2 cards out of it, right? Or you're gonna get 1 bonkers card, or you're gonna get 3 cards.
It's really funny because like I think on average you're gonna get 2 cards for sure,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But there are definitely going to be situations where you may not, So
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's not Perceptor, right? Because like you're not
No.
buffing a character or anything like that.
Right.
You're just
Right.
fueling a hand. But the concept behind it is like it's definitely leaning, and I just won't be shocked if there will be situations where it's like, nope, you're gonna choose between 3 and 1 here. I don't think you'll ever get
hmm
a 4-0, right? Like that's just ridiculous.
No,
But
no. If you got a 4-0, it might be because your opponent just like plans on system rebooting anyway.
right. I mean, it probably
And
just doesn't matter.
okay,
It won't
okay,
matter
I
at that
can
point. But
paint you
yeah.
a picture. Okay, hear
Mm.
me out. Hear me out. Hear me out.
All right. All right.
All right. All right. So your opponent is playing system reboot and wave 1 shockwave
There you go. All right.
and 4-0s you.
I'm on for that. It's okay. Sure. You got me.
Found the one. Let's go.
But yeah. The Alpha Trion addition here is it's just playing with the character's focus already. So now you're just effectively getting even more focus. But that is much more of just a straight addition for Alpha Trion than anything else. I
Mhm.
mean, this card is just very playable. There's just nothing. There's no denying it. Like honestly, even in the game now, like the best draw card we ever really had was what Scouting Mission. Like honestly, like
No,
as just a
no.
blue
The
pip.
best Oh, as a blue pip, sure. A
Right.
scouting mission. I mean, I think a Universal Network Access is a a
It's
draw 3 is a
it's a
star.
star
It's fine.
that very
I
rarely
think
saw play.
I
But yeah,
think that the best draw cards were not the best draw actions were not blue though.
no.
Like historically, like the best draw are Equipment Enthusiast,
Mhm.
Mission Briefing, and Treasure Hunt. Not in that order. Mission Briefing is far and away the best card draw spell
Yeah.
or battle card that
Yeah,
has
it's
ever been in the game,
it's
and it's
insane.
not close. And the fact that it has a green on it is just like it just like implodes my
We're
head.
we're 3 rounds into this full constructed event, and the amount of cards I have seen drawn from Mission Briefing is unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
Never less than 3.
I mean, like
It's never less than 3.
sometimes it is, but like I've seen them hit for 4. It's just like just it's unreal.
It's just on a
Unreal.
green, right?
Yeah.
Like Universal Network Access is over here just sitting just like teary-eyed, right? Like I
Yeah.
wish I could draw 4 cards or
As a
have a green chip
as a star card.
as a star card.
I don't know. I don't
Unbelievable.
know what they were
Any
thinking with that one. That one was way off base.
yeah. Anyway, also of note, it being an Autobot card actually gives it a couple points of interaction, right? So like it helps some safety valves that are already present. We didn't talk about, but Zero over there we talked about Teletrain earlier revealed Undermine from our
Hmm.
set,
Yeah.
a discard spell in the vein of kind of a kind of espionage, kind of disruptive entrance, kind of like mix in the middle there, where it takes faction cards into White Pip card itself. So notably, it can take Will of the Protocols or Electro Optical Visor, which has two, count them, two top eights uh,
Big
in the
true.
Alpha Trial Tournament series, both in
Uh,
Menosaur, so it doesn't really
both
count.
both in the finals or just.
But it was both in Menosaur. Moving on, but it can take this card. Um, and so of note, like actually making an Autobot card in some ways is a little bit of a like a small knockdown.
It's also smally buffing cards of the past as well. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
I
you
mean,
look at,
Orion
our
packs.
Legend packs. Yeah,
Yeah.
Legend packs for sure. Right, this being an Autobot card is huge there, right? Especially because I think we've kind of seen at this point you can play packs either way.
Hmm.
And he's not necessarily missing card draw. That's not
No.
really what he's missing.
No.
But confidence is not playable in the blue versions of
No.
that deck.
Hmm.
And so like looking for something to replace it is
Honestly,
pretty
I mean, like
important.
the Autobot cards in general for the deck are mostly mediocre. You know,
Um,
other than Harpoon
Noble's
Gun.
Blaster, Harpoon Gun, Matrix of Leadership.
Mm,
I think those are really it. If you can fit star cards, Heroic Resolve is awesome,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like not
But
every deck can fit star
but
cards
yeah.
either.
So, um,
Um,
but yeah,
right? Like nobody's
It's just another toolbox for them. But yeah.
nobody's gawking at emergency repair patch. You know.
No, but like I said, like to start was like, Pep Talk really was never that good. Like
I played it
it's
happily,
you
but
like you kind of had to, right? Like even if we said like Battlefield Report or whatever, like that awful
yeah,
secret action, like that
yeah,
that was like quote a draw spell in a defensive, like like just
yeah.
none
It
of
was
those cards really
fixing,
exist.
it's hand
It
fixing,
was just
right?
they're all very very mediocre. Like this card is without a doubt the best blue pip draw spell. Like it's just without a doubt. There's just no downside. And like
Yeah,
scouting mission is very playable for like all sorts of reasons. I mean the blue black is nothing to turn away at, and the ability
good to zap.
to zap
Yeah.
is nothing to shy away about.
Mm-hmm.
But like this on just a straight blue pip is it's very. I will be shocked to not see like minimum one copy of this in almost any blue deck. Like
I agree.
I'm not saying every deck's gonna be like three of this, but like I think it's probably a minimum. It's kind of like how a lot of orange decks end up playing like one treasure hunt or something like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
like, and there's also, I mean, honestly, there's often blue decks that play one treasure hunt, right? So it's like when you start looking at those things, like this is probably a card that's like, all right, I don't have to play treasure hunt anymore. I can just play this thing, and it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
hopefully in some valuable way do what I need it to do, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
And let me just be the first to say, I have really enjoyed playing with this card.
Yeah, I mean
And
it was way more fun with Alpha Trion before the tech change, but
well, fun is like a word. Um, it was really, really good. But
yeah,
Alpha Trion was worse when it was better, and we decided that we wanted the inverse to be true.
yes, yes. So, but yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add for Will. I mean, I
No,
think this is
play it. It's
one.
great.
I think this is one that like you'll see in a lot of blue decks for sure, and even like the mixed pip decks will probably play this. Anything with that like I can't think of anything off my head other than Orion packs for the Autobot stuff. But anything like moving forward that would be playing into that, this card is
Mm-hmm.
going to be perfect in. Obviously, it's already been shown that we've used it in the past. It's very possible we use it again. So yeah, I think this card's gonna be pretty sweet. Are we
I think
ready to
so.
move on to our reverse engineering?
Let's do it. Reverse engineering. Reverse engineer, pardon me.
All right, take it, friend.
I think it's my turn to read, right? All right.
You're better at it than
Reverse
I am
engine.
anyway.
Uh, Reverse Engineer is a white and a specialist green pip. So, kind of shouting out to Paralyzo Box in that vein. It's an action. It says you may put a card from your opponent's scrap pile into their KO area. And then has a second ability that says if your opponent has an upgrade in their KO area, you may play an upgrade of the same type as any upgrade in their KO area. So what that means is it can put anything in their KO area into the KO in their scrap out into the KO, pardon me.
Hmm.
So you can hit an action, you can hit a secret action, you can hit an upgrade, right? And then if they have an upgrade in their KO area, you can play one that matches, right?
Hmm.
So let's say the first one that you play hits a utility and puts it in the KO area. You don't have anything to play. You don't have to play anything from your hand. But the next one, if you want to hit a very key action in their deck and put that into their KO area, it will still see the first utility you put there. And so then you can play a utility the second time you play it as well. And this will stack the more different types of upgrades you have in the KO area. Additionally, for example, let's say that you put a Crystal of Power in the KO area, in their KO area, you can play a weapon, an armor, or a weapon armor, right?
Yep.
Um, anything like that is totally fine. This card exists because this is, I guess, like I would call it similar in style to Lock on Lasers, Catch Off Guard, Take by Surprise. It's like End of the Road and Must Die Sometime, right? Like these are cards that are they are situationally powerful. They are kind of function as ways to combat specific strategies, so they kind of exist as safety valves, right? Is that how you would describe it, Dan?
I mean, yeah. I mean, this is also, this is this is accompanying Rekgar as well. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this is like your definite, like, I'm assuming at least two of these in your Rekgar decks because it's helping you fuel up for Rekgar. But the other thing that's really unique about this card is that with the special attack, there are a lot of playable specialists that are in like control-ish shells. So like this
Play
card,
more. Just got a new strat.
right? So like this card is very like I'm trying to think of like the bet like I want to compare it to like cranial extraction from Magic, which I know is like not completely fair, but it's like it's on the same tier of like I want to take away my opponent's win conditions. So like this card could just literally also just be like, all right, well there's a belligerence in my opponent's scrap pile that I just don't even want to account for later, so I'm just gonna like
Hmm.
just get rid of that, like it's
Yeah.
in that way, like in that vein, it's like an effective like fourth end hostilities, like just in your deck, that you can just
How
activate and
many?
just remove, like even like so even like weapons, right? Like not every deck these days is playing like 10, 12, 13 weapons. Like some decks are only playing
Mhm.
like 5 to 8 weapons in their deck, so if, like you're
Well,
just like
one energy pack, right?
right,
One,
right,
like if they don't pick up
pocket
their pocket processor, you
processors,
can take the
right,
pocket
like
processor out. Like,
it's just there's just a lot, like there's a lot of things that this hits that I think it, like at face value, when you go through the game, a lot of the times, people are always like, oh, I flipped my thing and like it didn't matter, and like all those are very fair and accurate. But the more times you go through your deck and the less probability of chance you have of getting the next thing really adds up over the course of a game, which is a real big reason why you should play 40 cards in your deck, but we don't need to have that conversation right now.
well,
Uh,
also, I mean, we also talk about this, right? Like in testing, I watched more than one time somebody reverse engineer like an improvised shield or a
mhm,
handheld blaster to get
mhm,
double pips out of their opponent's deck,
yep,
right? And it did matter. Like
yep,
it looked really legitimately like they matter. There was some damage short on the other end, or
mhm,
or some defense short. Um, and that's a real thing, right? Like
yep,
taking being able to like hit a handheld blaster from your opponent's like scrap pile, KO it forever, so they're down a double blue,
mhm,
and you get to play a weapon off of that. That is real game, man.
mhm.
Like that's clock.
Yeah, it's really funny because I mean like I saw it. This card's been this way for a while now, right? Like so this card hasn't changed its text box. I'm not even sure.
I I
I'm not
think
even.
it never changed.
That's what
I
I'm
think
saying.
this card.
I'm not certain it ever did. I'm not like 100% positive there, but I don't know that it's ever changed its text box. So there was a lot of testing for this early on, but I haven't really seen it much in the later testing. But what I can
Outside of rec car lists.
well, what's upset? I was about to say like in the next this over the weekend I was watching Ziggy and King Me Please play a set, and Ziggy was playing like this Soundwave Chrome Dome list, and he was just playing like two or three of these, and he was just like he was making some pretty efficient plays with just kind of just getting the value out of it. Like I'll just pick that up and I'll play this, I'll pick that up and I'll play that. And it was just like he was really starting to just pick apart, his opponent's stuff, and it was like oh, it's really interesting. So yeah, I just think I think this card like on the ground floor, it looks really interesting. It looks a lot of fun. It looks somewhat combo-y, I mean, like I do believe that OA decks are gonna like this card for
I
sure.
agree. It's a white green, right? So like it's another card that you can like with this mom is all 5 pips.
Yeah. So and well, not it also gets you that those two play in one turn. Like it's always
Mhm.
about like oh that swindle play, right? Like this is a green, so like this is I mean you still are gonna need like you might need a bashing or I'm sorry a brainstorm to like quote go all off, but what you can do now is like you can kind of like set up and go all right next turn's my turn like so if you don't answer me this turn like I'm gonna go off next turn, right?
Yeah.
So it's still presenting all those things, which I think is pretty cool. It's pretty important. So I think this card like it might look like pretty basic and you know disruptive, but I think it branches out a lot further than that, which is what I really enjoyed about it so far.
I agree. And I can talk like very briefly about why for us it felt like a very needed thing for us to do. We have since the printing of the Jetfire stratagem from Wave One, right? I don't believe in Destiny. We've been very hesitant to do things with the scrap pile too often. Um, we did a little bit in this set, right? We've revealed Master Megatron, the Legend Mode character, and when he arises, he gets to play a Decepticon card from your scrap pile. There may or may not be other unrevealed effects that affect the scrap pile or interact with the scrap pile in some way, right? And Seekers is another deck that uses the scrap pile like really effectively, right? Um, so we have really tried to shy away from doing it all that often, right? And it's not that we're trying to open the floodgates, right? But we're part of that is that we've gotten more afraid of this as we've kind of hit a critical mass, right? It's kind of hitting like a plateau almost. Printing a safety valve that interacts that has a green on it, right? That does other things inside of a strategy that interacts with the KO with the scrap pile like this to kind of keep things at bay potentially is really huge for us. It opens up a lot of design territory, right? It gives us tools to balance with, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, it's funny, but like because like this very easily could fall into the sideboard category again, like for decks that
Hmm.
aren't necessarily looking to. I mean, like because there's a lot of like blue shell decks that probably only have like 14 or 15 upgrades sometimes, right? Like you see those lists quite often. So this is like one of those cards like, well, I wouldn't play that card because like I'm never gonna get the value from it. But as a sideboard option to remove some of those problematic things, it's definitely something you would consider if you explicitly if you have a specialist on your team, right? Like you're definitely gonna
Hmm.
like if you have one or two specialists, like you can kind of compare it to like a sturdy javelin, like whatever your number for sturdy javelin is, or what are your number for um god damn it, what's the
Marksmanship,
no, what's the white utility that lets you play a card?
field
Field
communicator.
communicator, yeah, right. Like field communicator is another one. It's like you're not gonna play two or three field communicators when you have one specialist. But like this card, if you have one specialist, you might play it. Like you're like, oh, it might do something for you. So
Might also be one of those cards that, like, let's say that this is important in the metagame. I can very much see people like opting. Let's say you have character A and character B, and character A is the character that's normally in this lineup in like a stock situation,
mhm.
right? But you want to have more consistent access to reverse engineer because of the metagame. So would you opt to play character B, who is slightly less optimal but has the specialist trait and gives you access to this card as a power? I think you very well might if it's the kind of type of thing that is important, right? Or is the type of deck you have a bad matchup against.
Seems pretty okay with a recently spoiled rough and tumble of a flame war coming
It's
back
true.
to the metagame. That is a specialist, not like
It's
not
true.
not like its range counterpart.
I'm really pumped to use my promo one from back in the around. I think it was around wave 3 when those promos came out.
Three or four, yeah,
3 or 4, somewhere in there. It all feels like a blur at this point, right? But
yeah,
um,
that was a long time ago.
yeah. Do we want to move on to the next card?
Yeah, this is the third time we're spoiling this card.
Is it? Did I spoil it somewhere? I probably did, didn't I?
It's Knack.
Oh, right. Oh my goodness. Right. That's hilarious.
So,
Okay. Okay, so of note, the templating has changed since the first release of this card,
mhm.
right? Slightly, not hugely, but it does now match the alt mode of Alpha Trion in this set. So, Dan, would you like to take it away, or would you like me to read again?
So we have Knack. We have a black, green with a leader and specialist.
Mm-hmm.
Action card. Reveal the top card of your deck. You may play a card from your scrap pile that has at least one battle icon color in common with a battle icon revealed this way. This this was in Primus Pack 1.
Primus Pack 1,
It
baby.
was reprinted for Primus Pack 2.
2. Mm-hmm.
And that was for special reasons. But it is now officially legal in all formats that its
Mm-hmm.
rarity matches. So this is a card that we talked about last week. Ironically, we talked about all three of these cards last week without saying their names. Well, actually, we did say Knack in general, but
We did.
Knack is a card that I have said from day one is like the most fun card imaginable.
Oh, it's great.
In Primus, it's obviously way more fun because sometimes the most random things on the planet get played.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so in Constructed, there will definitely be less of that and more mainstream plays, but it still has a layer of RNG to it. It's still explicitly better later in the game than it
Mm-hmm.
is earlier in the game because of more battle card options, etc. But as a whole, this card is just it was very very tough to agree that this card was going to be printed officially for tournament play.
It was. We debated banning it immediately from Titan 1, and we have opted not to do that. Um, we debated whether or not we were going to do more than one Primus Pack 1 card in this set, and if they were going to both immediately be pushed to full con only. And ultimately, we decided was that other card didn't need to be printed, and that Knack was too fun to leave
It's
out of too much of the game, and it was already going to be on a character, so
it's not even that it was too fun. It just feels fitting for this set at this time,
that
right?
too.
Because like you could have made the argument that like we could have printed this last set, right? Like we had like an extra battle card option for a while that like we could have been like, oh, we can probably get away with printing this card, and even at that time it probably would have been fine,
Hmm.
especially because of all the leaders that we were putting in with all the legends and stuff like that. So we were adding to that leader pool and the specialist pool in some ways also because of the dual, the dual traits on them and everything. So there would have been a lot of merit for it then. Um, I'm glad we didn't in the end. I mean, we didn't even
Yeah.
talk about it then for what it's worth. But
No.
in looking hindsight, right? Hindsight, we probably could have if we decided to, it probably would have been okay. Um, but it is here now. This card is like I said, anyone that's played Primus with this card or against this card, or even just like watched a Primus game live and like someone play the Knack, everyone on the table is like, "Fuck."
Or the like,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
it is okay. So back in the Transform Your Game days,
hmm
we interviewed Drew, and we talked about Paralyzo Box, I think, a little bit, and we talked about, I think there's some other cards we talked about in a similar vein to this, but the idea was, I think it was maybe Ancient Wisdom, maybe Treasure Hunt. The idea was that these mini game cards were one that he really, really loved
Him
as
and
part of
Matt,
the game.
him and Matt love the
Yeah,
minigame cards. They love them.
the mini game cards are so fun because like they ask you a different question,
It's
right?
why they
And they
loved. It's why they love Perceptor also, because like immediately it was a minigame for them. You know.
yeah. Um, and the truth of the matter is, right, like that, like the minigame cards are fun because they create inherent suspense, right?
hmm
Because they create uncertainty where before there maybe was less, right? Maybe not none, but less. And so Knack does this to the umpteenth degree, right? Like you play Knack, you're like, not only does it depend what you flip, it also depends how your deck is constructed and what's in your graveyard, right? It or a scrap pile. On top of that, like it's a card that incentivizes you to build your deck in a particular way, right? Like you want to put like more Master Metallicados, maybe rollouts or Matrices of Leadership. Like maybe you're a mercenary deck and you want more ways to play your opportunisms, which are really strong cards, right? So you include more black pips or more green or more white pips, so you have more access to those cards. Or maybe you're a mixed pip deck, right? And so like, do you diversify your upgrade suite a little bit because it gives you some more utility, right? You play one reflector cell and one trithelium shield and one sparring gear and one backup. Like do you do that? Do you like it asks you these really interesting questions?
Right.
Um, does it affect the way that you build secret action suites? Right? We've seen secret action suites like be kind of like 2 2 2 2 2 1, or like
Mhm.
they'll favor one secret action and then kind of a smattering of others.
Mhm.
Um, and like Knack kind of asks you like, hey man, do you want to play like one of like six different secret actions and see which one is the best at the time?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because you're gonna have access to me probably, right? And I think that's a really interesting question that it poses as well. But also in a 40 card deck format, it's not as good, right? Because your scrap pile's not as long, and because the max is 3, the consistency added that it adds is not as high
Mhm.
as it would be in Primus, where like things are largely singleton,
Mhm.
right? I feel like I've commandeered, Dan. Do you have any other thoughts besides what I've mentioned?
No, I mean this card is just sweet.
Yeah,
I'm super stoked to see it, and it's so like we're already revealing like like we briefly we'll touch on the double green here.
we did.
We
Yeah,
have been on record so many times debating like the green pip in general in the game and how powerful it is and
it's
how like absurd it is. Like it's just this obnoxious pip color in the game that like had to exist, but not in every way that it was ever presented. Um, and yeah, this card it's a fun one because like it's two conditionals, right? So it's like it's not an every deck card, absolutely. There are a lot of decks that have leaders. There are a lot of decks with specialists. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna put this card maybe as even just a one of in some list. I can totally see it. Like it's effectively
hmm
a fourth grenade launcher. It's effectively a fourth energon axe. It can be all those things. It can effectively be a second energy pack. Like there's so many things that like this card accounts for if it goes correctly. So it adds a lot of stock into a lot of unique decks. Once again, this is another OA card. Once again, you have the ability like, oh, I missed my orange blue, right? Like I missed it. I didn't get my well this card has the ability to get that card back for you. Um it's it's very fun card. It's gonna see the turns that it's going to be played on are always going to be very interesting turns because
Yeah,
you're just not going to
especially
know.
if so when you have no outs in your hand, Knack is the play, right?
Hmm.
Because like you don't know what Knack could give you, or you do know what Knack could give you, and perhaps that one of those things is good enough. I was counting, Dan, after you mentioned that. So in this set, which is bigger than any other set we've done, right? There look,
I think we revealed them all now. I think.
I think there are 5
Yeah.
green pips in the set. None of them are hard green
No.
pips. Sorry, they're green pip cards. There's 6 green pips
Yeah.
because Knack has 2 of them.
Yeah.
Um, right. But before this, do you know how many green pips we had released through ATP when we started doing battle cards? So 2, 3, and 4.
Is it just two?
It's just 2.
Yeah. It's
It
lock
is
on lasers
lock
and
on
absorption
lasers
core.
and absorption core.
Yeah.
ATP 3 had 0 green pips in it at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and in this set there are 5 green pip cards, which is a lot.
It is,
Um,
and it's so there's two specialists. There's this leader. There's a Decepticon. There's an Autobot, and what's the last
mhm.
one?
I don't think we spoiled it yet.
Go
It
ahead.
has a special symbol on it.
Hmm.
It's a herald green.
Oh, yeah, we'll leave that one for I'm not sure yet. Yeah,
Nobody knows if it's been spoiled
we
yet or
don't know.
not. God, I look so fat in this
Well,
photo, in this video. Anyway,
I was well, see, I thought we were the first legend spoiled last week and I was wrong because
it's true. You were because Smurf did
Mike
his first.
Micah just got in there, so
Well, he got zealous. He also Magnus is cool, and he had a pretty big hand in him, so it was fun.
true.
Um, but yeah, like the green pip thing is very real and something that we are cognizant of.
And
Um,
we discussed this last week. A lot of this has to do with sideboards.
A lot of it has to
And
do with sideboarding.
we're just very aware that the sideboards needed some love, and
Yep.
all of these cards,
So true.
not necessarily this card, right? I don't think that this card is necessarily a sideboard card,
Mm-mm.
but I believe three of the five greens in the set absolutely are more targeted towards sideboard play.
Totally
And then
agree.
reverse engineering will see play in like specific decks that really want it, but it'll still see sideboard play in decks that just like need hate cards in a way.
hmm
So,
hmm
but yeah.
or if they need to accelerate their game plan, right? Because ultimately it is kind of just a new designs
hmm
with some extra added utility to it. So
in hoping that it works out, yeah.
yeah, and hoping like please flip a weapon, right? Like
Come on, one time, one time.
that's true. Um, so what do we have next? Is it just the three? Or are we doing a fourth one today?
No, that's it. That's just final thoughts.
Final thoughts. You know what? You go first this time. I feel like I've gone first
So
last
I'm
few.
gonna flip through the characters. I just kind of like put a little slideshow on the screen for what I believe up to this date all the characters have been. And we've had a bunch since last week, since we last talked. You just mentioned Magnus. Knockout just came on in the stream. There was a very long conversation about Knockout today in the Discord, and like its playability with like unique things like Master Sword, and such.
It is a put ability,
Mhm.
so
Mhm. It's it's very interesting. Skywarp is now popping up on my screen, which we briefly touched on last time. Adding the four wide seekers to the team. There's this set has really done a job. It's done a great job of filling out a lot of what we have been working towards. Um, and I think it's something that it was like it was mostly fulfilling to do because it's like we were trying to fill out Junkion, we were trying to fill out the Seekers, we were trying to fill out Wreckers. So like for the first time, like not the first time, but kind of the first time, Bulkhead is now allowing you to play multiple different versions of three wide Wreckers.
right
Uh,
with a blue lean too, which is really cool.
Right. Skywarp is now enabling your four wide Seekers, and among other like just a lot of interchangeable decklist ideas there. Um, all of the new legends have incredibly unique styles to them to where I really genuinely feel the battle decks are going to really sway one way or the other, and it's going to be very interesting to see how each of them get taken and utilized. Just because they're just all really like unique, and they all have like the in the more in I would say like it's really funny because like in set one we really stayed away from stratagems for the most part, minus the Optimus Prime. But at 11 stars, we were comfortable with the stratagems that he was going to take, and it wasn't any of the ones that we were like really super weary of. And this is kind of like the opposite. We're kind of like rolling into it with like a totally different type of character, but enabling you to have to play the stratagem. Like the Megatron at 12 stars, right? Like it's a 12-star character, but it's effectively 13 stars because you
hmm
have to play at,
A stratagem with
at
yeah.
minimum you have to play one stratagem. So it's effectively a 13-star character, and it is a hell of a character. Like I'm not going to take anything away. Hell of a character.
To borrow a colloquialism from my brethren here down in the south, uh, that character is built like a brick shithouse.
Yeah, yeah, big true. uh, but yeah, I'm really happy with the way the set has come together. I'm really happy with the reception so far of the set.
Me too.
Everyone seems really excited about a lot of different cards, which means like we're really hitting on multiple levels here of playability, which is really fun.
That makes sense. I mean, like the theme of the set is like legacy support and rounding out archetypes, right? So, Dan, I know you have access to the Google Drive, so you've seen this, right? Is that when we finish a set, I go back into the folder and I rename the folder instead of it being ATP 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I change it to first release, then the theme, aka the name of a card in the game that I think is representative of the theme, right? So like I'll just run through them really quick. So ATP 1 was all strats, and then I gave the AKA was master plan. Uh, the second release was groups, like they have like these prefab teams or groups. So I did team up tactics was the one for that one.
Boo.
Third release was traits matter,
Mhm.
which is the card was high five.
Oh God, Jesus.
I know, really bad cards. Now that's part of the fun of this too. Four, with the Leash of Legends, was defining moments, the idea of like story moments on cards, aka heroic resolve,
Mhm.
which I think is a pretty cool one. And then this one, the card I've chosen for this one. Now this is not really like measuring of anything, right? It is more just like how I feel about like I guess like manifesting these things, or I guess like painting parallels. I chose Unleash Potential from Wave
Ah,
2.
nice.
References the sideboard. It's about like doing something as a follow up.
Mhm.
I thought it was a pretty fun one
Mhm.
for this. So,
Fair.
um,
Mhm.
and there are still some absolute bangers to come, believe it or not, uh, in the kind of last round of
Yeah,
reveals.
I'm not exactly certain when some of these things will be spoiled, whether it will be before this or after this.
Hmm
Um, which is why this slideshow is not the complete set because this is going live before the complete set. So
hmm So it'll be a 15-star character.
there's still a 15-star character. Yep,
15-star
there's
character.
still a 13-star legend.
There is a character that plays with factions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There is a upcoming Junkion All Star.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, there is a card that does something that has never been done before in the game as a secret action.
Yep, and we discussed it at length because shout out to Hunt Down that was released today. I did mention that we would talk about this on the podcast. So can we just talk about the text on Hunt Down?
You know what? Let's do it. The unaffected text.
Yes.
Sure, let's do it. All right. So,
For
flashback.
those of you at home, the card will eventually show up on screen, and I'll point it out real quick. Go ahead, Wyatt.
Right. So, of note, this is not the first instance of this text before. Um,
Primus Pack 2.
Not, Primus Pack 2. Not everyone pays attention to all the stuff we do in Primus Pack 2, but one of the things that Primus Pack kind of does is because like it lets us explore boundaries a little bit more. Sometimes we get to find templating that works really well for what we want to say. Right? Knack is a card that came from Primus Pack 1. The double greens that are both soft greens is a really fun way to kind of like bump the idea of it being like a one or like a 0.75 green almost, right? Um, and so Ambition, which Dan, I'm not sure if you have that card, you can pull it up. But Ambition is a card from Primus Pack
Not on
2.
my laptop. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But
It
Hunt
is
Down
a
on the screen right now. Bam.
unaffected by secret actions. Boom, enemy secret actions. Okay, so um, Ambition was the first instance of unaffected, and it is a card that's a Decepticon upgrade. It's an armor. It says if the upgraded character is a Decepticon, this is unaffected by your opponent's cards. So unaffected is inspired by cards like Greenlight, right? Or even to a lesser degree, kind of like Holomatter Projector, right? These cards that say can't, right? It's inspired by those things.
Such
Um,
heroic nonsense.
Such heroic nonsense, exactly. Um, and so these cards, the idea is these cards that like that stop your opponent from interacting in the way that like they might normally do. Um, so let's say that there were a secret action in a similar vein to jam signals.
Speed
Um,
Trap is the
Speed
actual.
Trap was a great one.
It was a great example. Shout out.
Speed Trap is a great example. Speed Trap. I'm gonna pull up the exact text here
Hmm.
on Speed Trap so that I don't misread anything or misquote anything to anybody. So Speed Trap, when your opponent plays an action and it's the second action they played this turn, scrap that action and it has no effect. Your opponent can't play actions this turn. Excuse me. So if you somehow went, oh I don't know, brainstorm. Ooh, something in my throat.
Oh boy.
That was really rough.
All right.
I feel better now though.
Let's. I,
So
so you want to live in Christmas
I'm
land,
gonna.
right? I will. I'll pull this one back for you. All right. So if there was a world instead of with speed trap down from your opponent, and your opponent went brainstorm hunt down, now the entire trigger for speed trap would be null and void because it can only activate on the second action that they play.
Mhm.
So this way, since you played it now, speed trap can't be activated because the card can't be affected by it.
hmm
Um,
It's a static piece of text. It applies while the card is being played, essentially.
So I, it's really tough to convey this point in the game,
Mm-hmm.
but because the unofficial rules do not exist, which is the issue here. However, in Wave 3, Infiltrate
Okay,
and
so
Jam.
you talk about reveal, right? Like how
Yeah,
does reveal and when work?
yeah,
Reveal is an interruptory speed mechanic. Think of it in Magic, the equivalent is to using mana abilities. It does not use the stack. It
yeah.
is interruptory. It can happen in the middle of cards resolving. Like
Basically,
that is how to think about it.
basically, in Wave 3, when they created Infiltrate and Jam Signals, the game designers unofficially admitted that the window existed. That's basically what they did, and it's really ironic. And I'm gonna go more in depth on this when I spoil the card that I'm gonna spoil. But upgrades and actions work differently in the game when played because of the
Mm-hmm.
way that upgrades have to be played. Because an upgrade can't be
Yep.
played unless it can be put onto a character legally. So you can't just
Mm-hmm.
play any upgrade you want whenever you want if you don't meet the requirements, right? Like actions, you can play any action whenever you want, even if you can't. Like you can play a rollout if even if you can't flip a character, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way the game works because of the restrictions they gave actions and the restrictions they gave upgrades.
Right.
So because of
And
that,
part of the resolution is different too, right? It's like upgrades resolve as they are on the character,
right,
right?
and they trigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like that's the thing here is like an upgrade has to be put onto a character, which when it's put onto a character automatically triggers any ability and anything the character might get from said playing like triggering it just it the layers are just differently in the game, but what the designers told us in Wave 3 is that actions are interruptible.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely told that because otherwise like they just made cards that don't even work in their own game. So it's just it's literally what they're anyone that like thinks, "Oh, you can't infiltrate a belligerence because belligerence is the active player's turn and you get to play it and it goes and it resolves." It's like, "No, like they the designers of the game told you when they printed these cards that this
Mm-hmm.
window exists. Like
Yep.
they told you that it exists. And for I mean literally for a year basically, you know, or not a year, but like 6, 7, 8 months, we didn't really acknowledge it because Infiltrate and Jam Signals weren't good, right?
Well, Infiltrate's been okay.
Okay, Jam Signals was never good, right? So
Jam's true. Jam Steel's never been good. Never been good
shout
ever.
out to the one of in my sideboard this event, but Jam
Shout out
Signals
to the one of Jam Signals in, I believe, Kai's PPT Dallas winning sideboard.
probably, but
Um,
I'm not playing Shockwave, but
right. Shockwave did like change the math
a
slightly
little
on
bit.
that too.
But yeah, so these cards have been in existence this entire time. If and there is the white pip one that I can't remember the name of right now.
Overrule.
Overrule. There you go. So, in a world where there were a black pit version of Infiltrate, of Jam Signals, of Overrule, this card would just be like no, like it does. You don't work. Um,
Hmm.
Now it also effectively works. It's not that it works, but it would work with the way that withdrawal protocol is approached, because withdrawal
Hmm.
protocol is a when played a bit like when your opponent plays a card. So in that offense, it would withdrawal protocol would be a revealable action. However, it's not stopped by that in any way because it's not affecting the card in any way. It's just affecting your own board. Um,
Hmm.
but so you can still reveal withdrawal protocol when you play this card.
You can reveal in response to it,
Hmm.
but the idea is that like no secret action you reveal and no ability on your characters
Hmm.
that might potentially happen when that card is played, whether now or future, uh, don't it does not stop the card. This card is just going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's a little
Sorry,
confusing
not on your
now.
characters, secret actions. My
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. It's a little confusing now probably because like I said, the only iteration of it in the game currently is Speed Trap. But
Yeah.
there will be with the idea that withdrawal protocol has that specific text that it's like when you play a card you can activate it. Um, that is it's a version of a secret action that we created in
Yeah, it's a
HTTP4.
protocol. The
Right, it's a
protocol secret
protocol.
actions.
So whenever a protocol secret action would be created in the future, it would probably share that same text. And this is a card that is kind of safety valving that text in a way, just like how we spoke about reverse engineering earlier,
Hmm.
where it's like a quote safety valve for all the scrap file shenanigans that could happen
Right.
now. This is the
Right.
kind of the same thing.
It's also templating for us, right? Like we wanted to have this templating down
Yeah.
because it is a knob that we intend on using in the future if we need it to
Right,
balance
like
things.
realistically it's one of those like this is the type of errata for an older card that I would be comfortable with making now. So like I used such heroic nonsense as an example earlier. Like you could just say actually I guess you couldn't. No, you
You
no,
could say
all right.
unaffected,
No, you
but I,
couldn't.
I wouldn't, but you could.
You could, but you can't because they can be cogged and
Mhm.
so it's not the same. But if it were that, if we wanted it to make it that way, it would have been. But we didn't make it that way. But basically,
Mhm.
anything moving forward, like if you put this on an upgrade, uh, literally just could be any. It could be a +1 attack weapon. And it just said this can't be affected by your opponent's cards. That would mean that it couldn't be scrapped and it couldn't be KO'd.
It couldn't be stacked, it couldn't be
Right,
KO'd, it couldn't
right.
be tucked,
Right. It
right?
couldn't
Like,
just could not be touched by anything. So
mhm.
that's the idea here because I believe the other card is on an upgrade, right? The Primus one. It was
Yes,
yeah.
ambition is an upgrade.
Yeah, it is. So like, that's basically what you're saying is like I'm playing this card, but it just cannot be interacted with from my
Right.
opponent's cards.
Right. We've seen can't be scrapped before, right? Bashing shield on ambition wouldn't work, like if it was on a Decepticon, right? But not only would that be the case, reflector cell wouldn't be able to bounce it to hand,
Catch off guard,
disarm,
take
catch
by
off guard,
surprise.
take by surprise. None of that. None of that matters. Not even Gears himself,
Right.
the upgrade fucker of the game.
Right. Right. Yeah. So I think that's the kind of text that we're playing around with this card, and it's like I said, it's the templating getting into the game so people get
Hmm.
familiar with it as one, and then as two,
Safety valve.
it's that safety valve for protocols. It not
Hmm.
specifically withdrawal protocol, but other potential protocols.
Hmm.
So
And the secret action scaling piece is also a safety valve.
yeah, and there are several decks now that have the capability of playing multiple secret actions.
Yeah, not to mention there's a character who literally can just keep three in play, basically.
Yeah, so there's that. There's Menasor that almost
Yeah, if it's secret.
pretty common on goes double secret. Um, there's some other new characters that have the potential of going secret. So
Some of which are spoiled and some of which aren't,
yeah, so
or may both not be.
yeah,
Oh,
who
oops.
knows? Who knows?
Um,
Who knows?
yeah.
So yeah, but it's definitely a layering secret safety valve carve in the set. But I wanted to talk about it. What I also wanted to shout out real quick is the remastered heads. Uh,
Yeah.
so we had Zort spoiled today, or actually it was yesterday. I just was busy and I totally missed the spoiler until this morning when I woke up. I literally didn't know it got spoiled until like
Did we
7:30 this
spoil
morning.
Highbrow with him or no? I don't remember.
So the highbrow was spoiled, but not what highbrow does.
Okay.
So like the entire picture was the highbrow body and the highbrow art for alt, but all the text boxes and everything was
So
blacked out.
mean.
I
Such a
didn't do it.
tease.
I didn't do it. Cameron did it. Cameron asked if he could do it. I was like, yeah, go ahead, Cameron.
Do
so
do whatever you want, Cam. Like,
so yeah, so Zord's actually on screen now. This is a remaster head for Zord. It came out awesome. It looks great. And then this is Zord also from Pandaran. I actually haven't said the
Panda
name.
Kron.
Pandacron. I couldn't. I knew. It sounded wrong. I couldn't figure it out. Um, real big shout out to them. Also, big shout out to all of the artists so far that have spoiled anything.
Yeah.
Um, you know, show Snowy, right? She did Knockout and Bulkhead. Those arts are incredible. Knockout was my favorite art of the set, so much to the point where I pretty much like told Wyatt that it was had to be in the set in some way because I just love that art so much. I was like, no, we're like this card's gonna be in the set. Um, and then this is the updated Sovereign, which is the ATP4 head that's on screen now. Like that was another one that like we got remastered, so it was able to look incredibly well with our also now remastered Titan Master
Hmm.
bodies. It was really exciting to get all that stuff and make it look really nice and pretty for us because it was a huge shout out to Cameron. Cameron is, I don't know, this set is just Cameron written all over it. It's,
And
you know,
it's got a lot of, touches of love from Cam,
yes,
which make my heart happy personally.
yes, yes, definitely. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think we are coming down to the wire, for testing. I'm sorry for spoiling,
For
right?
spoiling, we've been done with the testing.
Yeah, it's coming down the wire for spoiling, which is really exciting. There's some howitzers left, man. There's a couple big boys. There's a couple very interesting characters that are going to uh be be some players, and I'm excited.
Yeah, man, I'm pumped. I just can't. I can't. I've been out of town a lot of the weekends, these last couple weekends, right? And so we keep recording these late on Sunday nights. Which shout out to you for being a trooper on that. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm looking forward to having my weekends back and getting to just really dig in at those times. Watch a little college football on Saturday, and then do a little Transformers the rest of the time.
Respect, respect.
Man's got to have priorities.
It's true, it's true. But yeah, but it should be fun last week.
I
This'll
think so.
I think after this goes live, there'll probably be still a couple days left of spoilers.
Hmm.
I think there's a good chance that you and I are going to close them out. So
I think so. I think with my favorite card and with maybe your favorite card.
after a couple iterations.
Yeah, the final version I'm talking about. From the
uh,
set, from the set, from the set.
yeah, it's a fun one. There's a couple fun ones left for sure. So it'll be exciting to see that and kind of just get into it. And then I think for our next normal non-spoiler protocols cast, it'll be really fun to kind of just like break down the set and talk about what we think is people might go to early and stuff like that. Who knows? I think there's a
Mhm.
lot there's
You know
there's a
that
lot to cover.
the part where we make a bunch of predictions, and those predictions are generally, about 60, 70% correct, and then 30% we didn't.
Mhm.
That's not where we thought people were gonna go.
No, it's tough. Like the first event is going to be the 1 day event, which is the Extra Life charity event, and that's
T1,
last
right?
T1, and like so last time when we did this for ATB4, the first T1 event was run by Galvatron, which is
Yeah.
like it was
Harold's
three.
Harold's Harold. It was Harold's something. Harold's I think in the top
No,
four.
it was two Heralds, and then it was like your weird OA deck, and then it was like
Right, right, right.
Ziggy's weird Galvatron deck. Like it was just like these two, like just four Galvatrons in the top eight of that event. Um,
I like
so
playing OA. What's wrong with playing OA, especially early in the season before people are up, like have resolved like whether how they're supposed to optimize their decks? It's bad, but it's fun.
that's fine. So like I just think that it'll be fun because we're gonna go back to back. So it'll be that Titan One event for the charity, and then the month long is also gonna be Titan One. So you'll get like this brief glimpse of what it looks like. We honestly we did the exact same thing for Full Constructed to start the season. It was a full constructed event at the end of June, and then the July event was full constructed. We're doing the exact same thing here, where it's the Titan
T1.
one will be it'll start and then we'll follow it up right again. So you'll get like this brief hit of it, which however many people. I think currently there's 8 people sign up for the event. So I'm hoping by the time we get closer to the event, there's double that. That's the let's go boys, come play some Transformers that day and win some sweet ass prizes like that Energon edition.
Mm.
Um, but it'll be nice. It'll be a really nice to get in and see that because everyone is fresh eyes. Everyone's fresh eyes, and
There is no environment or crucible quite like tournament play.
mm, mm.
So
But yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to people finally putting these on the table, and like there's there's people all weekend that were testing Titan 1 already. So like
I know.
they're already gearing
And
up.
some of these deck lists look sweet.
Well, it's not, and we only had like half the set spoiled.
I know.
So like people are just they're at it. Like now this wasn't Titan 1, this wasn't Titan 1, but like I saw like a Perceptor Ultra Magnus deck. Oh, oh,
Hot.
man
I
in my
told you.
heart.
I told you. I already know what I'm playing in the next full con event, whenever that is. I think it probably won't be until 2022. If my memory of the season
Yeah,
5
probably.
like breakdown is. But I don't know what I'm gonna play in T1, and I have so much testing to do to really resolve it.
I have let's see, what do I have? I don't think I can say any of the decks that I have currently. Uh
I can't even say
oh,
the
okay.
Junkion deck
Okay, okay,
that I
okay.
want to play next Junkion event
So
either.
I have Soundwave, Alita 1.
So Ariel, you mean?
Yeah, Soundwave Aerial down with some Autobot Stratagem, which is probably down but not out.
Yep, yep,
Um
makes sense.
so I have that here, and then I have a damn it. I have a Hot Rod deck with a new 10-star character that I can't name.
Oh, I know which deck you're talking about. The deck is so sweet
And then I have the 15-star character that I
that you
also
can't say
can't
either.
name. Yeah. And I do have an updated aerial bots list that I've been working on
Ooh,
that I want to
spicy.
get some testing in this week. So yeah,
Hunt downs in the sideboard for the mirror?
probably.
Huh?
I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. But
It's not
yeah,
better than lock on lasers though. Lock on lasers is still king into that
no.
stuff.
Oh yeah, of course. But yeah, there's some fun stuff. There's some fun stuff. I'm excited. I'm excited. So, any last words, my friend?
I think we covered it all
Yeah.
for today. Anyway,
Yeah. As like the final, thank you to everyone that spoiled a card so far.
hmm
Thank you specifically to the people that did more than one card. Huge shout out to you guys. I'm really happy that you valued your time enough to give us a part of it, and help us spoil and enjoy the set. Huge shout out to all the artists, and not even all the artist cards have been spoiled yet, so I can't even name
right.
all of you right now. But thank you guys all so much. Uh, your art is incredible, and I'm hoping that we did our best to give it life in this set, so a lot of people can enjoy it. That's really all I can hope for, is that we can do some justice there for them. Um, and yeah, I think that's it for me.
I don't have anything else either.
All right then, Autobots.
Roll out.
Come
Did I
on,
do it right?
it's supposed to be giggity. You messed it up this time. God.
I can't do anything right. I'm sorry, Dan.
It started.
No, try again. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. Let's try from the top. Ready?
All
Boom.
right. You do it. You do it.
Okay, all right. Autobots.
Roll out. See you guys
Giggity.
later.